Let me tell you, something your morning decides your destiny. The way you wake up, the first thoughts you let dominate your mind, the energy you bring into those first precious hours. This is the difference between a life of mediocrity and a life of massive success. Think about it. Billionaires don't wake up and hit snooze 10 times. They don't roll over, scroll endlessly on their phone, or start their day in chaos. No, they own their mornings, and because of that, they own their lives. So let's break this down. If you want to think like a billionaire, act like one, and build the life you deserve, you must master your morning routine starting today. The first step, get up early. Not because it's trendy, not because it sounds cool, but because those early hours are the quietest, most powerful hours of the day. While the world is asleep, winners are building their empire. Imagine yourself awake before the sun, breathing in fresh air, and knowing you're already ahead of 99% of people. That feeling of momentum will carry you forward like nothing else. Second step, move your body. Energy is the foundation of everything. Success without energy is impossible. Your physiology changes your psychology. You can't drag yourself through life and expect to think at billionaire levels. You need blood flowing, oxygen pumping, your body awake and alive. Jump, run, stretch, lift, whatever it takes, just move and flood your system with power. Third step, prime your mind. Billionaires don't let the world control their thoughts. They command their minds. Take 10 minutes and focus on gratitude. Remind yourself of what's already working in your life. Gratitude destroys fear. Then visualize what you're building. See the business growing. See the freedom. See the impact you're making. When you can see it and feel it, you can make it real. Fourth step, feed your brain. Don't let junk information enter your mind first thing. Don't drown in notifications and news. Instead, read something that makes you sharper. Listen to something that inspires you. Study something that moves you closer to mastery. The mind is a muscle, and billionaires train it daily. Fifth step, plan with intention. Billionaires don't wander into their day. They attack it with clarity. Write down your top 3 outcomes, not 50 meaningless tasks. 3 outcomes that, if you achieve them, move the needle forward in your business, your career, your life. Simplicity is power. And finally, take bold action immediately. Don't wait until the afternoon when your willpower fades. Don't wait until someday. Start with momentum. Make that call. Send that proposal. Record that video. Take the first step that ignites the fire. Listen, this isn't just about becoming rich. This is about becoming unstoppable. A billionaire morning routine isn't about money. It's about power. It's about setting a standard so high that the rest of your day can't help but rise to meet it. Your habits create your destiny. You want billionaire results. Start with billionaire rituals. You don't need millions in your bank account to start. You need a decision today, right now, that your mornings will no longer be ordinary. So the question is simple. Are you going to roll over and live another day on autopilot? Or are you going to rise, take command of your morning, and step into the life you were meant to live? Because the truth is, your morning is waiting. Your future is waiting. And the billionaire inside you is waiting. When you hear the phrase, own your morning, own your life, it's not just a catchy line. It's a principle that separates those who drift through life from those who dominate it. Think about the first moments of your day. The second your alarm rings, you're at a crossroads. You either hit snooze, roll over, and let the world dictate how your day will unfold, or you rise with intention and set the tone for everything that follows. Billionaires, leaders, and visionaries know this truth deeply. They understand that the quality of their morning is the quality of their life. They don't wake up and hope for things to go well. They design their mornings so that success becomes inevitable. Owning your morning means you choose discipline over comfort. It means you decide that your goals, your mission, your purpose are more important than temporary laziness. The average person lets their mornings slip through their fingers. They wake up reacting to emails, to messages, to problems. They wake up in stress and chaos. But billionaires, they create space in those first hours to build momentum, to ground themselves, and to sharpen their focus. When you win your morning, you've already won your day before it even begins. Imagine starting your morning with absolute clarity. You rise early while the world is still quiet, and you give yourself time to breathe, time to think, time to move, time to grow. There's a sacred power in those hours before the noise of the world crashes in. It's in that stillness where you can connect to who you really are and what you're really after. Most people complain about not having time. But the truth is, they do have time, they just waste it. The early morning hours are a gift that most people throw away. Billionaires don't waste them. They guard them like treasure because they know those hours shape their mindset, their energy, and their destiny. When you own your morning, you set the standard for everything else in your life. If you wake up strong, intentional, and focused. You carry that strength into your meetings, into your business, into your relationships. If you start sluggish, reactive, and distracted, you drag that same energy into the rest of your day. Your morning is your launch pad, and the way you launch determines the altitude you reach. It's like a rocket. If it launches with weak fuel, it never breaks the atmosphere. But if it launches with power, it soars into new dimensions. That's what your morning does. It gives you the fuel to break through limits and rise above mediocrity. Billionaires understand that mornings are about momentum. Momentum is everything. When you start strong, you keep moving strong. When you create small wins early, waking up on time, moving your body, feeding your mind, you build a rhythm of success that carries you forward. Momentum compounds. Success is not built on one big decision. It's built on 1,000 small, disciplined decisions repeated daily, starting with your morning. If you own your morning, you're not fighting uphill all day long. You're flowing because you already set the pace and you already decided the direction. There's also something psychological about waking up early and taking command. You tell yourself, I'm in charge of my life. I don't follow the world's schedule. The world follows mine. That mindset is magnetic. It gives you confidence. It makes you a leader. You can't expect to influence others if you can't influence yourself. You can't expect to run a business, inspire a team, or build an empire if you can't even take control of the first hour of your own day. Leadership begins the moment you open your eyes. Owning your morning doesn't just transform your productivity, it transforms your identity. Every morning is a vote for who you are becoming. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, focus over distraction, growth over stagnation, you reinforce the identity of someone unstoppable. Over time, this rewires your self-belief. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles to keep up and start seeing yourself as someone who sets the pace. Billionaires don't just follow routines, they embody standards. Their morning routine isn't just about checking boxes. It's about becoming the person who naturally creates extraordinary results. People think owning your morning requires huge changes, but it doesn't. It requires commitment. Even small shifts create massive differences. Waking up an hour earlier, choosing not to scroll on your phone first thing, spending 10 minutes moving your body, writing down your priorities before the day distracts you. These small steps create massive leverage, and that's the key. Leverage. Billionaires don't always work harder than everyone else, but they do work smarter. They know the return on their morning routine is exponential. One powerful hour in the morning can save you hours of wasted energy later in the day. One intentional choice in the morning can redirect the entire trajectory of your week. That is the leverage of owning your morning. Your morning is your foundation. If your foundation is weak, everything you build on top of it will crumble. But if your foundation is strong, you can handle challenges, setbacks, and chaos because you already set yourself up with strength, clarity, and focus. Life will throw problems at you. There's no avoiding that. But if you start your day grounded, centered, and powerful, those problems don't knock you down. They become opportunities you can face head on. This is why the most successful people in the world don't negotiate with their mornings. They don't let feelings decide. They don't let moods control them. They don't need motivation to do what needs to be done. They've built discipline. They wake up and execute because their standards demand it. Their routine is non-negotiable because they know their future depends on it. And so does yours. Energy is the foundation of everything. Without energy, all the strategies, all the plans, all the goals in the world collapse under the weight of exhaustion. You can have the best ideas, the strongest intentions, but if your body is tired, sluggish, and drained, you will never execute at the level required to create extraordinary results. That is why billionaires prioritize their energy above all else. They understand that success is a game of stamina, focus, and intensity, and none of that is possible without mastering the body first thing in the morning. The average person wakes up and stumbles through the day with half their potential available because they never ignite their physiology. But if you want to perform at world-class levels, you must make energy the first ritual of your morning. Movement changes everything. When you move your body, you are not just exercising, you are igniting your mind, your spirit, and your entire nervous system. Think about it. When you raise your heart rate, you flood your body with oxygen, you release endorphins, you awaken your cells. Suddenly, the fog clears, your thinking sharpens, and your state shifts from sluggish to unstoppable. Energy is not something you wait for. It's something you generate. Successful people don't wait to feel ready. They create readiness by priming their physiology. That's why movement is non-negotiable. Whether it's a run, a workout, yoga, stretching, jumping up and down, or even dancing in your room, the act of commanding your body creates a state where confidence, clarity, and focus are inevitable. Imagine two versions of yourself. One who wakes up, drags out of bed, checks the phone, scrolls through messages, and sits slouched with low energy. Another who wakes up, drinks water, gets the blood flowing, takes deep breaths, and moves with power. Which one do you think makes better decisions? Which one do you think shows up as a leader? Which one do you think inspires others? The difference is not talent, it's state. State is everything. And your state is directly influenced by your physiology. Billionaires know that if they can control their state, they can control their outcomes. That is why they use movement and energy rituals as the first weapon of the day. Energy is contagious. The way you enter a room, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself. People feel it before you even say a word. If your energy is low, you drain others. If your energy is powerful, you elevate others. Leaders are energy transmitters, and if you want to lead, you must learn to command your own energy first. This is why prioritizing your body is not selfish, it's necessary. If you are depleted, you cannot give at the level the world requires from you. If you are overflowing with vitality, you inspire action everywhere you go. There's also a direct link between energy and confidence. Confidence is not just a mindset, it's a physical experience. When your body is strong, when your breathing is deep, when your shoulders are back and your movements are purposeful, you naturally feel more confident. When your body is weak, when you're hunched over, when you're barely awake, confidence disappears. That's why moving your body is one of the fastest ways to transform self-doubt into certainty. You don't think your way into confidence. You move your way into it. Science backs this up. Exercise not only releases endorphins, it enhances brain function, increases memory, boosts creativity, and reduces stress hormones. This means the simple act of moving in the morning literally makes you smarter, calmer, and more resourceful. Billionaires are not looking for short bursts of productivity. They're optimizing for longevity, clarity, and sustained performance. They see their body as their most valuable asset, and they treat it with respect. Too many people chase wealth while destroying their health, only to spend their wealth later trying to fix what they neglected. The most successful know the truth: energy is wealth, and without it, nothing else matters. Think about the times in your life when you felt unstoppable. Chances are your energy was high, your body felt alive, your mind was sharp, and you were able to handle challenges with ease. Now think about the times when everything felt heavy, when small problems felt like mountains. Chances are your energy was low, your body felt drained, and your mind couldn't see clearly. The difference between those two states wasn't the external world, it was your internal energy. If you can learn to master that every morning, you give yourself the ultimate advantage. Billionaires don't rely on willpower to push through low energy. They create habits that keep their energy high automatically. They drink water first thing to hydrate their cells. They fuel their body with foods that energize instead of drain. They breathe deeply to oxygenate their brain, and they move with purpose to awaken their system. These habits are not random. They are strategic. They know that energy is the currency of achievement, and they invest in it daily. It's also important to understand that energy creates focus. When your body is alive and vibrant, your mind is alert. You can zero in on your priorities and get more done in less time. When your body is tired, your mind is scattered, procrastination takes over, and everything feels overwhelming. The difference between focus and distraction often comes down to energy. That's why billionaires don't start their day with coffee alone. They start with movement, because nothing sharpens the mind like a body that is fully awake. Energy fuels resilience. Life is not a straight line. It will hit you with unexpected challenges, setbacks, and stress. If your energy is low, those challenges crush you. If your energy is high, you rise to meet them with strength. Energy gives you the emotional endurance to handle pressure without breaking. It gives you the ability to keep going when others quit. It gives you the power to maintain optimism in the face of difficulty. And optimism fueled by energy is one of the greatest assets you can have as you build success. Owning your energy every morning is not just about personal performance, it's about honoring the gift of life itself. Waking up with vitality is a reminder that you're alive, you're capable, you're ready. Too many people live as if they're already half dead, going through motions, dragging themselves through days. But when you choose to ignite your energy, you're declaring to the world that you are fully here, fully alive, fully engaged. That presence, that vibrancy is what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ritual of moving your body each morning is an act of self-respect. It's telling yourself, I care enough about my future to prepare for it today. I care enough about my purpose to fuel my body as the vehicle that will carry me there. Billionaires understand this at the deepest level. They don't treat movement as optional. They treat it as essential. And because of that, they operate from a level of energy that allows them to achieve results others can't even imagine. Commanding your mind is the single most powerful decision you can make in your morning routine because the mind left on autopilot is a dangerous place. Most people wake up and the first thing they do is feed their brain with chaos. They grab their phone, they scroll through messages, they let social media news and notifications dictate how they feel. Without even realizing it, they surrender control of their mental state before the day has even started. That's why billionaires approach their mornings differently. They don't allow the world to control their minds. They take charge, they program their thoughts, they prime their emotions, and they decide how they will think, feel, and act. They understand that your mind is either your greatest ally or your worst enemy, and the difference lies in who's commanding it. Gratitude is the first weapon in commanding your mind. Gratitude interrupts fear. It dissolves stress. It recenters you on abundance instead of lack. Think about it. When you feel truly grateful, fear cannot exist in the same space. Worry cannot live in the same space. Anger cannot survive. Gratitude rewires the lens through which you see the world. Billionaires practice gratitude not because it's spiritual fluff, but because it's practical psychology. When you are grounded in gratitude, you make better decisions. You focus on what's working instead of obsessing over what's broken. You approach challenges with perspective instead of panic. Spending a few minutes in the morning feeling grateful for your health, your opportunities, your loved ones, or even just the fact that you woke up gives you the psychological edge to move through the day with power. Visualization is the second weapon. The most successful people don't just react to the future. They create it in their minds first. They see it, they feel it, they live it internally before it ever happens externally. The brain doesn't distinguish between imagination and reality at the deepest levels, which means when you visualize with intensity, you are literally programming your nervous system to believe it's possible. Athletes use this technique to win championships, entrepreneurs use it to build companies, and leaders use it to inspire movements. When you wake up in the morning and see yourself achieving the results you want, closing that deal, launching that business, giving that speech, creating that financial freedom, you train your brain to recognize opportunities and act with certainty when the moment arrives. Visualization is rehearsal for greatness, and billionaires rehearse daily. Affirmations are another way to command your mind. Words have power. What you say to yourself consistently becomes your identity. If you wake up and your inner dialogue is filled with doubt, fear, and limitations, you carry that energy into everything you do. But if you speak with intention, if you declare who you are becoming, if you affirm your strength, your vision, your power, you begin to shape your reality around that belief. Billionaires don't wait for the world to validate them. They validate themselves through the language they choose. They program their mind with empowering words so that disempowering thoughts have no room to live. Commanding your mind also means choosing focus over distraction. The world is designed to steal your attention. Every notification, every headline, every piece of meaningless information is pulling at your mental bandwidth. If you do not control your focus, you are handing over your most valuable resource to whoever screams the loudest. In the morning, billionaires protect their focus like it's oxygen. They decide what deserves their attention, and they eliminate what doesn't. They use meditation, journaling, or simply silence to clear mental clutter and sharpen their concentration. Focus is a weapon, and it is forged in the way you begin your day. Another critical aspect of commanding your mind is managing your emotional state. Most people think emotions are something that just happened to them. They feel stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed and assume they have no choice in the matter. But billionaires know emotions are generated, not given. They use rituals to put themselves in powerful states intentionally. They listen to music that elevates them. They practice breathing that calms or energizes them. They move their body to shift their mood. They don't wait for motivation to strike. They create it by changing their emotional state on demand. This is why they can walk into high-pressure environments and still remain calm, decisive, and strong. They are not slaves to emotion. They are commanders of emotion. Commanding your mind is not just about thinking positively. It's about training your brain like a muscle. Every day you either strengthen empowering patterns or reinforce disempowering ones. If you wake up and repeat gratitude, visualization, affirmations, focus, and state management, you build mental resilience. Over time, your default settings change. Instead of waking up anxious, you wake up calm. Instead of approaching problems with fear, you approach them with creativity. Instead of being reactive, you become proactive. This shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you command it. It's also about identity. Billionaires understand that the mind creates the story, and the story creates the behavior. If you see yourself as someone ordinary, you will act accordingly. If you see yourself as someone powerful, visionary, unstoppable, your actions will rise to meet that story. The morning is the best time to reinforce identity because your subconscious mind is most impressionable when you first wake up. That's why starting your day with intentional mental conditioning is so effective. It sets the stage for how you will act, respond, and show up. Commanding your mind is not a one-time practice. It is a daily discipline. Just like you don't get fit from one workout, you don't build an unshakable mind from one morning. But if you commit to this ritual every day, the compounding effect is unstoppable. Over weeks, months, and years, you transform the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you live. That transformation is what separates those who wish for success from those who create it. Feeding your brain is one of the most overlooked yet most powerful parts of a billionaire's morning routine, because what you allow into your mind determines how you see the world, how you think, and ultimately how you act. The average person starts their day consuming noise. They grab their phone, they scroll through social media, they check the news, they drown themselves in negativity, gossip, and distractions before they've even had the chance to think for themselves. That mental diet creates a mind that is scattered, reactive, and fearful. But billionaires treat their brain like their most valuable asset because it is. They know that what they feed it every morning sets the tone for how sharp, how creative, and how focused they will be for the rest of the day. If you want to think at a higher level, you have to fuel your brain with higher quality input. Your brain is like fertile soil, and whatever seeds you plant in the morning will grow throughout the day. If you plant seeds of negativity, stress, and distraction, you will harvest chaos, procrastination, and doubt. If you plant seeds of wisdom, inspiration, and clarity, you will harvest focus, confidence, and power. That is why billionaires don't leave it to chance. They are deliberate about what they read, what they listen to, and what they allow into their consciousness. They choose books, podcasts, mentors, or learning experiences that sharpen their perspective instead of dulling it. They understand that if you feed your brain with junk, you will think like the masses, but if you feed your brain with greatness, you will think like a leader. Reading in the morning is one of the most common habits among the most successful people in the world. It could be a few pages of a biography, a chapter from a book that teaches new strategies, or even a passage that reminds them of timeless wisdom. The act of reading engages the brain, stretches it, and signals that learning is a priority. Billionaires never stop learning. They know that the moment you stop growing is the moment you start declining. That's why they feed their brain first thing in the morning. They want to set the pace for a day of growth and expansion rather than stagnation. It doesn't always have to be reading. Some listen to powerful podcasts that challenge their thinking. Some watch short clips that inspire them to push harder. Some journal, which is another way of feeding the brain by organizing thoughts, reflecting on ideas, and creating clarity. The key is not the specific method, but the intention behind it. The intention is to start the day by giving your brain high quality fuel so it can produce high quality output. Garbage in, garbage out, gold in, gold out. Feeding your brain also means protecting it from poison. The news cycle thrives on fear, drama, and division. Social media thrives on comparison, distraction, and outrage. These things are designed to hook you emotionally and keep you addicted, but they rob you of focus, peace, and creativity. Billionaires are aware of this trap, and they avoid it in the morning because they know those first hours are too valuable to waste. They don't allow fear-driven narratives or meaningless noise to hijack their mindset before they've even taken control of it themselves. By avoiding mental junk food, they preserve clarity and focus for the work that actually matters. Another way to feed your brain is through reflection. Taking even a few minutes in the morning to think about your goals, to review your vision, or to write down your intentions strengthens the pathways in your mind that lead to achievement. When you revisit your vision daily, it becomes etched into your subconscious. You train your brain to filter the world in ways that support your goals. Billionaires know that the brain is like a GPS system. It goes where you program it to go. Feeding your brain with reminders of where you want to be keeps it locked on the target no matter what distractions show up during the day. Learning something new every morning is also a powerful practice. It doesn't have to be huge, just one new idea, one new insight, one new skill. Over time, those small daily learnings compound into massive knowledge and advantage. Imagine learning one new thing every day for a year. That's 365 new tools, perspectives, or strategies that most people never acquire. Billionaires thrive on this compounding of knowledge. They are obsessed with growth, and they make it part of their morning ritual because they know the return on that investment is exponential. Your mental diet is just as important as your physical diet. You wouldn't eat junk food every morning and expect to feel strong and healthy. In the same way, you can't consume mental junk and expect to feel focused, confident, and driven. Your brain thrives on high-quality input, ideas that challenge you, wisdom that grounds you, inspiration that lifts you. If you give it that consistently, it will reward you with creativity, problem-solving, and resilience. If you starve it or pollute it, it will drag you into negativity, confusion, and mediocrity. Feeding your brain also means surrounding yourself with the right voices. If you don't have access to mentors in person, you can still learn from them through books, recordings, and courses. Billionaires often immerse themselves in the words of those who came before them, studying the patterns of success and failure, absorbing the lessons that others paid the price to learn. By doing this, they compress decades of wisdom into days of learning, accelerating their growth at a speed the average person never experiences. This practice of feeding your brain each morning is more than just intellectual. It's spiritual, emotional, and psychological. It reminds you that your growth matters. It signals to yourself that you are not just drifting through life, but deliberately building a sharper mind, a stronger character, and a clearer vision. It puts you in a state of learning, which is a state of humility and power at the same time. Humility because you acknowledge you don't know everything, and power because you arm yourself with the knowledge to do more than you could yesterday. The truth is, your external results are always a reflection of your internal world. If your mind is cluttered, unfocused, and weak, your results will be the same. If your mind is clear, focused, and strong, your results will follow. Billionaires invest in feeding their brain every morning because they know the brain is the ultimate multiplier. One good idea can make them millions. One sharp decision can change the course of their company. One shift in perspective can unlock an entirely new level of impact, but those ideas, decisions, and perspectives don't come from randomness. They come from consistent, intentional feeding of the mind. Clarity creates power, and without it, all the energy, focus, and discipline in the world scatter into nothing. Billionaires don't wake up and let their day drift into randomness. They don't fill their schedules with endless to-do lists that make them feel busy but move them nowhere. They operate with precision, and that precision comes from clarity. Each morning they decide what matters most, what will truly move the needle, and they direct their energy like a laser instead of a floodlight. When you know exactly where you are going and why, you can move mountains. When you don't, you can work endlessly and still feel stuck in the same place. Most people confuse activity with achievement. They cross off dozens of tasks, answer countless emails, run from meeting to meeting, and at the end of the day, they wonder why nothing significant changed. They mistake motion for progress. Billionaires understand the difference. They don't measure the day by how much they did, but by whether they accomplished the things that truly mattered. That level of clarity keeps them aligned with their vision instead of getting lost in distractions disguised as work. Clarity begins with vision. You can't decide what matters most today if you don't know where you're going long-term. Billionaires start with the big picture, the empire they are building, the impact they want to make, the lifestyle they want to live. Then they reverse engineer that vision into outcomes for the day. Every decision, every action is filtered through the question, does this move me closer to my vision? If the answer is yes, it stays. If it's no, it gets eliminated, delegated, or postponed. That ruthless clarity is what makes them unstoppable. When you wake up in the morning and write down the top 3 outcomes you must achieve, you give yourself direction. Not 30 tasks, not a cluttered checklist, but 3 powerful outcomes that will create momentum. 3 things that if you completed them would make today a victory. This practice forces you to prioritize, to separate the urgent from the important, and to focus on what creates the highest return. Billionaires know that time is finite, so they invest it in what multiplies results, not in what merely fills hours. Clarity also reduces stress. Uncertainty creates anxiety, and most people live in a constant state of uncertainty because they never define what matters. They feel overwhelmed because everything feels important. And when everything feels important, nothing gets done at the highest level. But when you wake up and say, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, and this is how I'll do it, the fog lifts. You move with confidence. You stop second guessing yourself. You stop being reactive. You know where you're going, and that knowing creates calmness, focus, and drive. Another reason clarity creates power is because it eliminates decision fatigue. Every day you make hundreds of small choices, and each one drains your mental energy. If you begin the day without clarity, you waste precious focus deciding what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. But if you start your morning already clear on your priorities, you remove that mental drain. You act instead of overthinking. You conserve your energy for execution rather than wasting it on indecision. Billionaires protect their mental energy by making fewer, more powerful decisions, and they can only do that because they are crystal clear on their outcomes. Clarity creates momentum because it transforms action into progress. When you know what matters most, you don't hesitate, you don't scatter, you don't procrastinate, you move. Every step builds on the last. Every win compounds into greater wins. Billionaires thrive on momentum. They know that once you start moving in the right direction, everything gets easier. Opportunities appear, people align, and problems shrink. But momentum doesn't come from random action. It comes from clear, decisive action aimed at meaningful outcomes. Clarity is also contagious. When you lead with clarity, you inspire confidence in others. Your team, your family, your partners, they all respond to the certainty you project. People follow leaders who know where they're going. They trust those who can articulate a clear vision and a clear plan. Billionaires amplify their impact because they don't just create clarity for themselves, they create it for everyone around them. They paint the picture so vividly that others want to help bring it to life. That ability to transfer clarity is one of the reasons they can build massive companies and movements. Clarity creates speed. When you're unclear, you hesitate, you second guess, you start and stop, you waste time. But when you're clear, you act fast, you make decisions quickly, you execute efficiently, you adapt with precision. Billionaires move faster not because they rush, but because they know exactly what they're doing. Speed in business and life is an advantage, and clarity is what unlocks that speed. It's not enough to have clarity once in a while. You must refresh it daily. Just like your body needs food every day, your mind needs clarity every day. That's why billionaires make it part of their morning routine. They review their vision, they write down their outcomes, they remind themselves of their mission. They prime their mind not only with energy and gratitude, but also with direction. Without this, even the most powerful energy will be wasted on meaningless activity. With it, even small actions create exponential impact. Clarity also builds resilience. Challenges are inevitable. Distractions are everywhere. Setbacks will happen. If you are unclear, those challenges knock you off track. Those distractions steal your time. Those setbacks discourage you. But if you are clear, nothing can shake you. You may adjust your tactics, but you never lose sight of the destination. That clarity becomes your anchor in chaos, your compass in uncertainty, your fuel when motivation fades. It gives you the strength to keep going because you know why you started and where you're headed. Every morning is an opportunity to reclaim clarity, to remind yourself of your purpose, to cut through the noise and commit to what really matters. Billionaires don't wait for clarity to magically appear. They create it through intentional reflection and decision making. They know that clarity is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Without it, you drift. With it, you dominate.